And I was muted. Of course I was muted. I hadn't done that for a while. Well, I hadn't done it lately. Well, I did it last night, I guess. So I hope everybody's doing good. Yeah, I'm okay. Been a busy day. I'm a little tuckered out. My eyeballs are tired. That's what I want the glasses on. I hope everybody's good and hanging in there and had a good week. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves or had fun last night with Gemma. So I got an itch. So game plan is a couple of videos. I'm going to do one I've already done before, and then I'm going to play the part 2. And that's Staircases in the Woods. I know I did the first one. I'm not sure if I did the second one. I'm going to do them again. I was roaming around on the internet last night when I couldn't sleep and stumbled a bunch of people talking about them again. So apparently they have showed up again, or people were seeing them again, or talking about them again. So I figured I'd play those. It's either that or I do one of her NER videos, because she is going to be talking about reincarnation on Monday on her video upload Monday. In fact, I'd better put that up there for everybody to see so they know what they're looking for if they haven't notified themselves yet of it. It's at 11 o'clock. Let me get this situated here. Get rid of all this fun stuff. Hello, Ralph, and thank you for coming in. Good to see you, bud. Long time no speaking. Or no typey, or whatever you want to say. I hope you're good. I don't know about that. I look about as good as I can look. I kind of roughed last night, and I had to kind of bail on her at the end there. I was just tired of trying to watch myself being fidgety on the screen and kept having to leave because I had to get up. My body just wasn't going to chill for me last night at all. And Jared was in here. Thank you, Jared, for stopping by if you haven't popped back in yet. But yeah, I'm good today. I'm still feeling a little bit. I think I just pushed myself a little hard. I'm trying to play catch up here. Let me get this taken care of real quick so people know what they're looking for. Off to one side, but I guess that's all right. And let's do this. And this is her video for her upload. I like to call them upload. I say video out of respect, but her upload for Monday at 11 o'clock a.m. is going to be this. Let me see how it looks on here. Let me get myself switch it here. There we go. And this is her video for Monday for upload. It should be a good one. Reincarnation's an interesting subject. I don't think this is her first one, I think. I didn't really go through the library. I always try to work my way up from the oldest to the newest, because I try not to show too many things. I try to keep them past a year old, 2, 3 years older. I mean, she's got 4 years almost of stuff, almost 5 years now. So, and we've gone through quite a bit of it. I'll probably end up, I just had to stop showing my high strangeness because I didn't want to use all those up yet, because we plowed through all the listener encounters except for some of the newer ones. And he did stay awake. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to ramble. Sometimes it gets me going. It's always good to see you too, my good man. So far, we're doing pretty good. Pop's hanging tight. He gets a little cabin fever, and I can't blame him. But at the same point, bless his heart, he gets out and lasts about an hour or two, and then he's ready to come home. Man, when they did I had a beard for so long, I didn't realize that the neck surgery really messed up my neck. Yeah, usually it really is. You gotta be interested in reincarnation, right? Right. Well, I mean, people have different takes on it. Some people believe in it, some people don't. I've seen some weird stuff. My mom, before she passed, She loved hummingbirds. I mean, just loved them. And about a year after she passed, about a year after I moved back in here to help with Pop, we had this one hummingbird. I have a hummingbird feeder out in the front. And I was sitting on the porch one day, and this hummingbird goes, hits the hummingbird feeder, then flies right in front of my face and hovers there for a good for a bit. I can't say seconds. He was just kind of hanging out, hovering in front of me, looking at me like he was trying to tell me something. So I get up, and it flew away, and I grabbed the jar that we have, these jars that have like little flowers on them, and took it inside and washed it out and freshened it up, even though it was only a couple days old. And it wasn't that bad outside. But I changed it anyways. And as soon as I hung it back up, it came back, and I sat back down. As soon as I sat back down, it hit it, hovered in front of me for a while. I swear it might have been my mom. I mean, I kind of got that impression that maybe it was my mom saying hi. I don't know. But it went on like that for the whole summer. And then the following summer, one came up to me while I was standing in the window, because there's a window behind the big picture window. And it flew right up to the window and looked me right in the face, hit the hummingbird feeder, came back and looked at me like it was saying goodbye, and took off. I've heard it all the way down to this world, and our life being a prison planet and soul recycling factory. Even the whole Loosh farm, evil reptiles feed off our anguish wild. There's a bunch of them. There is a bunch of them. But yeah, I think it was my mom maybe saying hi. Now, there are times I know she's in this house watching over Dad. Without going into a whole lot of details. They've stuck it out for a long time, and I know she comes in here and checks on them. I can smell a perfume some nights. I can hear things moving around. I can't prove anything, but I hear him in there having conversations in his sleep. Sometimes he's mad and yelling, and other times he's having a very good conversation. So I believe that's probably who he's talking to. Either her or my little brother. I think when he argues, I think he's talking to my little brother. So, bless his heart. But yeah, the hummingbird, I swear for that whole summer it was her. Because it always, every time I was out front, it would come right up to me, hang around, and then book. Then a little bit later, it'd come back, check on me. Especially if I was out there working on the flowers and stuff. Forgive me. My neck hurts. I was cleaning ceilings earlier, and my neck is killing me. It was rough. I'm getting too old. I shouldn't say that because I'm still pretty active for a guy who's been through crap since the fire. It got crazy after the fire. But yeah, I'm kind of interested in reincarnation. I've heard some interesting stories. I've seen some interesting stories. I've had a friend who swears his kid's been reincarnated by somebody because his kid always talks about a fire truck and these guys on this fire truck. Really weird because the kid's like 5 years old. Pretty sure when my mom passed, I have to say passed, sorry, YouTube, and hospice wheeled her out the door on a stretcher. The house lights flickered as soon as she went past the front doorway, and I walked outside, seen a cardinal. It was her, probably. If she loved cardinals. Sometimes I think they come and visit you in the forms of things they love so dearly. Like my mom. I mean, Dad made me pack up a lot of her stuff, and she collected hummingbirds. So I have a crate of nothing but hummingbird stuff. So, and I guess when my daughters and the other girls are ready to come and collect them, It's theirs to choose from and take. But yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. There was when I was in the hospital one time, guy across the hall from me passed. And it was really weird when they took him out of the room. It got weird. The lights flickered. The whole place got real cold. And then his family showed up later that evening to, pick up his stuff that he had there and stuff. And it changed. The whole day it was cold. And I mean, colder than what most hospitals are. But when his family showed up, it changed. And it seemed like everything was calm again. So, yeah, I believe that stuff. I've seen enough of it. And one of the things I've seen does make me nervous sometimes. Well, it doesn't make me nervous. It just puts me on edge because you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. It was her way of letting you know she was on her way and saying goodbye. Oh, it's very real. The other side is very real. I asked her when she went if she was allowed to let me know if it was real. And she did. And they do. That's a good thing. Yeah, I think a lot of people get visits like that. And I think it happens within the first couple of days. That's my personal opinion. Depends on the situation and what's going on. Sometimes when it happens fast, they're a little confused. I would think. I'm just going. I mean, all the times that I went on to another place for a little bit, it felt like I was there forever. And then a lot of times it only turned out, I kept saying it was only like a couple of minutes that was, declared. It was longer than that I found out. I had to sit down and talk to the doctor. What was it, about 3 weeks ago when I went in? And he pulled it all out. I think the longest I was gone was 10 minutes. I was shocked. I was like, I always thought it was like 3 or 4 minutes because no, man, you were gone for, they had written you off. and I guess from what he was saying, 3 of those times, it was somebody just saying, I want to give him another hit. Something tells me to give him another hit, so they gave me another hit. So it was like they declared me dead, walked away from me, and then somebody came back in and said, "This something's not right," and hit me again. So it's weird and a little confusing because I remember where I was at. I remember the conversations. And I don't like talking about the conversation because they're personal. I dream of Cassie quite a bit, and I know she's passed away in my dreams. And when I wake up, I can tell there wasn't dreams as normal. It's more of her being allowed to visit you and spend a little time with you. Yeah, she probably comes and checks on you and makes sure you're okay. I think that happens with Dad and Mom because, like I said, when she passed, things were she was bad. She was not in the best of ways. People have to clear the air, and she didn't get to do that. And I think they're doing that now. I mean, it's like every few weeks he does this. He was doing it last night. He was talking to somebody last night for good 20 minutes in the sleep. I just let him be and lay here. Because I had to move my bed over by the door so I could hear it. Because he has a habit of getting up in the middle of the night, sometimes falling. And if I don't hear him. Well, hello, Rainwater. Welcome. How are you tonight? I hope you're good. I know you never answer back, but thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. It means a lot. And bless you. I hope you have a good week and a good Sunday if you don't stick around. I have a funny feeling sometimes you do. I don't know. But thank you. I really appreciate when you come in. But yeah. So yeah, I believe certain things are very real. The other side is very real. I've seen enough of that to see both sides. I didn't see hell, but I heard it. I heard it, and that's all I needed. So we're gonna do that, or we can do another one. That's her video for Monday, and then tonight, like I said, I think we're gonna do the stairways, the staircases in the woods. Like I said, I think I replayed one already, and I never found the second one. When I finally found the second one, I stumbled on it. Sometimes you get to scroll and I just miss it. So I'm going to play those two again, unless I decide on something different as I'm scrolling back to get it. I do hope everybody's having a wonderful night. I'll probably start it here in about, I hate when it does that. Why? Thank you. This crazy thing. Asked me if I was a human. I don't get it. Oh, Giles is home. My son went to a wedding. There's 3 of us watching. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably start it here in probably about 3 or 4 minutes. But yeah, that should be a good upload. It's I believe it's stories is what it is. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, it's Matro. Hey, how you doing, bud? So it should be interesting. I don't know how many stories there are, but it should be good. I hope you're good and having a good weekend and had a good week. Enjoying your steaks there, buddy. Hope AK is okay. I haven't seen him for a while. I know he's been through a lot up there in the Alaskans. And I hope he's well. Ran my friend's liquor store today. Feet tired. Oh, I bet you are. I was telling them I was cleaning ceilings and bathroom walls today. And a lot of other stuff in between. Took a little time to play with Gemma's little man and didn't play long. I was kind of starting to feel it and kind of get a little edgy. So and then we played a little bit later. So yeah. But we'll start it here soon. I try to keep you guys entertained until I start, but Wednesdays are a little easier. Hello, Chris. How you doing tonight? Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to watch Andor. Giles told me to watch it, so I'm thinking I'm going to watch it. He says probably the best of them all, so I'm going to watch it. Probably not yet, but I want to finish up a couple other things first. I don't like to have too many things because this is what I usually do when I'm in between, taking breaks and stuff is when I watch those shows. What catch up on my shows or at night when I'm finally chilling. But yeah, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anybody. Not that many people here, but I appreciate it. Everybody's showing up and the people come in and go. Just make sure you hit that like button. That's all I ask. Maybe later leave a comment. Just say hi or something. If you don't say hi in chat, leave it in the comment box. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've seen Rogue One, so I'll just go back and Giles says, yeah, go back and rewatch it. So I'm going to, and then I'll watch it. So yeah, I'm going to watch that first, and then I'll watch Andor and go from there. I just haven't been very pleased with Disney lately. You got to remember, I'm total old school, so. And I'm one of those guys that like to stick to the storylines and the mythos and all that stuff. I meant to ask you, since you are not terribly far away from where I am, have you gotten any 17 years kid to come up out there? They're everywhere here. We're since you know what? It's actually been fairly quiet here. We don't get them like we used to. Now, they may start up in the end of the month, the next month. So I really can't answer that right now because they've been quiet. Now, I live pretty close to a cemetery. I remember summers where they were so loud you could hear an echo in the cemetery. So, yeah. And I don't care. I don't keep up on the drama stuff. I'm not a drama guy. And I'm not a big fan of his anyway. So I just, you know what I'm saying? I just don't care. I mean, the first couple seasons of the show, maybe the first 3 seasons of Ghost Adventures are okay. But as a person, I just never really cared for him. Plus, he causes enough drama on his own. So, yeah. Watching a series on Prime called Sea Patrol, Aussie Navy. You know, there used to actually be a show in the 60s, 50s or 60s called Sea Patrol. Walking distance to a cemetery was never on my list. I'm right there, man. And that's another thing. See, my mom is buried right down there, too. Just came out that he slipped. Oh, who cares? I don't care about that stuff. That's his problem, not mine. It really is his problem, not mine. It wouldn't surprise me, these guys. They think they're studs. The same crap goes on here on YouTube. You'd be surprised the crazy stuff that goes on. You think there's dramas amongst the crowds. A lot more goes on between these people than just drama. So yeah, I'm a little wheezy, man. I stirred up all kinds of crap today. Allergy pills are holding tight, though. Yeah, Zach, he's a character. That's like I used to like to go watch Ghost Hunters. After what Jay did, I think it was, Jay, or whatever his name was, not Jason, but Jay, the other one. I kind of lost faith in the show. And then worse is that is he did in one of my favorite places, because I've been to the Stanley Hotel twice. That place is creepy enough. You don't need the fake stuff. That's not necessary. Just because something doesn't happen every time you roll the cameras doesn't mean you should make stuff up. You just wait till it happens. You know, a lot of these paranormal shows, it's weeks. Sometimes they have to go back 2 or 3 times before they catch something. Trying to get up there on the dead. Gene Simmons. Who was the other one? The basketball. Wilt Chamberlain. When he'd well known for all the women too. I'll tell you what though, Gene Simmons. I've met Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. Paul Stanley was a pretty nice guy. Ace Frehley and Peter Criss, they were cool. But Gene, he's kind of an arrogant guy. But he's the one that comes up with all the ideas. He's probably, him and Paul, probably the reason why they make the money they do. Now we'll give him that. He's a business guy. Ghost hunting can take months. Oh yeah, easy. That can take years before you catch something. Over 10,000. Yeah, I do. He's lucky he didn't come home with something from all those women. He probably has and got cured since they got access to that stuff. Excuse the gulping. Man, I didn't realize how much that surgery did to my neck. I wore a beard for so long. And when I do shave it, it always freaks me out. Last time I shaved, I don't remember being that bad. But he said it'd settle. But yeah, those guys crack me up, and the women. But you know, there's a lot of Hollywood women out there that probably can beat those numbers too. Especially some of the older black and white stars, they were some crazy women back in the day. So yeah. And as for ghost hunting, it takes a while. I mean, we'd go back 3 or 4 times in a couple months just to try to catch something. I mean, our philosophy was we give it 4 tries, but on the 5th try, we didn't have any luck. We said, screw it. Now we've gone back to places and just set up. And at the time, we were using, VHS. Someone told Wilt, man, you scored. You already know what he's thinking. Long time ago, just record this junior, but sure, 100 points. Yeah. I just saw that adding Mayday Parker to the next Spider-Man movie. Oh, are they? Okay. I'm ready for something new. I mean, I don't knock the superhero movies as long as they make them superhero movies and they make them good. I'm kind of about Superman. Like I said, I'm a DC guy, but and when it comes to Marvel, my 3 faves are Spider-Man, was Iron Fist, Iron Man, and I'm talking old books, not the new stuff. And who was the other one? Oh, and the Hulk. And Doctor Strange once in a while. But I'm a DC guy. And I like some of the off-brand books. Since I just got home, the dogs are expecting hamburgers. That's what you get for feeding them like that. Boink them if you got them. Yeah, well, I'd prefer to wait till I'm hitched again. And I don't know if that will happen. Someday, maybe. I'll be a good boy until then. But let's get this rocking. Since I need to take a verbal break, let me get this up and running. Get rid of this. Peek. Goodbye. And then load up the video here. Let's see. What do you want to do? What do you guys want? Aliens, ghosts? Somebody give me a topic. And we'll see if we can find it. Or I can do the staircases in the woods. I know I played part 1. I think I did. I wish Edna was here. She would tell me if I did, because I know she remembers a lot of the stuff I've played. What happened was my board got cleared. So I don't know what all I played, but I know I played the first one. Get the show on the road. I'm working on it. Let's see. Aliens? You want to do aliens? You want to do the alien hybrid program? Hold on. There's something else. Let's do this. Let's go a little old here. Where's that other one? We'll do that one, and we'll do this one first, if I can find it. Oops. Hey, give me 4. Ha. You're killing me, man. You're killing me, man. You're giving me a brain tumor. Okay, let's do that. Okay. Since I thought there was one before that. Because this is probably the oldest. Okay, this one's 30 minutes, and it's alien hybrid program. Yeah, I'm having trouble talking. Reality of the extraterrestrials and humans. So let me get this up here. Okay. This was during the coof, I think. Oops, wrong button here. Let me get this to the beginning here. Because she got a shot, and she said she was still filming. Yeah, I would like to see that too, Chris. That might be interesting. So, if they bring her in, that'd be awesome. Hold on. We got all kinds of weird stuff going on here. Hold on 1 second here. So I don't know what's going on. There we go. Okay, let me get this baby loaded and up and going. I'm leaning into it here. I'm not as antsy as I was last night, man. I was so bad last night. I couldn't stand watching myself because I know I was bouncing off. I felt like I was bouncing off the walls, and I hadn't been that bad for a while, where I had to actually excuse myself. Okay, hold on. That's not what I wanted. Quit it. There we go. Share screen. There we go. Let me get myself in the corner here. Okay. She will be Tobey Maguire's daughter. Really? So are they bringing him back or what? So I don't keep up. There's a reason I don't watch a whole lot of movie stuff anymore, because they just give it all away anymore. And it kind of bums me out. But keep talking in chat and let's get this baby rocking. This is on the hybrid feeling. As you can see, filming this Sunday night. Still sick with the vaccine side effects. Sorry if I'm a little off my game. So bear with her. Don't let that horse's head bother you. At least it's not in the bed with her all bloody. If you've seen the Godfather reference there. Bad joke, though. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. And I'll be in chat in a minute. Why did it do that? Hello, Chris. I got your comment up there. I went to click the screen and it clicked the stupid. Okay, here we go.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to
Let
my
me know
channel.
about the sound.
Here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, and today I am very excited to announce we are finally going to be discussing the Alien Hybrid program. I've been promising this video for quite a while now, and I'm finally done with enough of the research that I can bring you at least some of the information that I've uncovered. This topic is one of my absolute favorites. It's one of the most interesting to me, and I really hope that you will receive it in the same way I did and just get totally engulfed in the information. It is absolutely insane, especially if you're a believer, as I am. So here it is, the reality of extraterrestrial and human hybrids. So what I'm starting with today is some research by a renowned psychologist and expert on the alien hybrid program, or the alien hybrid theory, depending on what you want to believe. And her name is Barbara Lamb. Barbara Lamb has been a psychotherapist for 45 years. She's a lecturer, she's an author. Some of her books include Crop Circles, Alien Experiences,
this is 4 years old now.
My favorite title in the world, Meet the Hybrids. While Barbara was licensed in 1976, it wasn't actually until 1991 when people started coming up to her and asking her questions about some unusual experiences that they had been having. Because of some of the lectures she had given, the book she had written, and her very extensive research into the subject, abductees and experiencers were coming out of the woodwork right around 1991 to start asking questions about not only what had happened to them, but why it had happened. And Barbara was the person to turn to. She was the expert on the subject, and still is, actually. Some of the main experiences and common themes people were coming to Barbara about were things like strange beings suddenly appearing in people's rooms, their bedrooms, disc-shaped crafts appearing to them, and doing these things in the broad daylight too. It wasn't like these crafts were coming or these beings were appearing in the middle of the night. This was happening to them in broad daylight. When the crafts would follow these people in their vehicles, the story was always the same. Eventually, the car's motor or engine would completely stop, and these same beings, which would sometimes appear to them in their bedroom and in other random places at seemingly random times, would exit the crafts and approach them here too, like randomly wherever they were. So imagine driving down the road and your car stops, and suddenly a craft that you've noticed has been following you hovers above you and beings get out. Even if the car doors in these vehicles were locked, somehow telepathically the beings would make the doors unlock. The person would then be taken away from anywhere from a day to a couple of days, a few hours, and in some instances, though extremely rare, The person would be kept even longer than this, weeks at a time in some cases.
Hey, Latra, our dog did the same thing. I felt so bad for him. He caught his nail on a rug out in our living room and pulled that sucker out. Man, I felt so bad. We didn't know at first because he didn't whine or nothing. And he's laying in the hallway and I look down, there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, what the heck? He handled it like a trooper, though. And it's growing back. And I felt so bad because it looked like it hurt. It just looked like it hurt. Edna, how you doing, dear? I'll start this back up. Hello, dear. How are you? We were just talking about you. You must have heard us. Let me go back to this. I hope you're well and feeling better. You were doing pretty good last night. Looked like, so I wasn't, but that's another story. Yeah, let me get this going again. There we go.
Cases, in some cases, months. These experiences are what came to be known today as abductions. Barbara claims that throughout her career, she has regressed upwards of 2,000 of these abductee experiencers. She claims that the term alien abduction is a new term and that these experiences were probably happening just throughout millennia, basically since the beginning of mankind, the beginning of humankind. A typical abduction experience will see the person being encountered by 1 to 3 beings and being put into a state of non-awareness and or paralyzation. So they don't know what's going on and they can't move any muscle but their eyes. Not all of these encounters, but most of them occur while the individual is asleep in their own homes, in their own beds. If the abductee isn't alone in the bed, the other person that they're sharing the bed with is usually switched off, which means they aren't able to be woken up regardless of whatever may be going on around them. So you can be screaming and you can't be flailing or anything, but the person's not going to wake up. They're going to be completely in a state of sleep where they cannot be reached consciously. They're just going to be totally unaware. Very quickly after the initial paralyzing of the individual, they are levitated off the bed and sometimes even moved through walls to be brought to the nearby craft. The craft will then fly off, almost always at an abnormally high rate of speed. And this is so probably they're not noticed by bystanders or witnesses, right? Could you imagine you're standing outside or, vaping out your window like I do in the middle of the night and you see someone being abducted by an alien? Now, there is at least one case that I know of that I'm currently researching where the woman was abducted in plain sight in a very busy and populated city, even though it was the middle of night, in front of many, many witnesses, most of whom have come forward. But we'll save that for another time. My point in saying that is that while the aliens obviously don't want to be seen, they really don't care if they are or not. It's not going to stop them. If for whatever reason the person that's in bed with the abductee does wake up, the aliens don't care. It's not going to put a foil in their plans. They're going to continue on anyway. They have their own agenda, and that agenda, I believe, is saving their own race. While the things I just relayed to you happen in most cases, obviously every encounter in abduction is different. But once aboard the ship, there have been so many different things reported as to what had happened to people, what had been done with them. Even if the same things had happened to an individual, their experiences are always going to be different. The variation on these reports are wild, to say the least. It seems that each different race or type or species of these beings have their own agenda when it comes to abducting humans. After the experience, after the aliens are done with whatever they're doing, the person is usually floated or flown back down to Earth and almost always return to the exact same spot from where they were abducted. I wonder, are these abduction encounters becoming more and more common in recent decades, or is it just easier for us to learn about them because of use of the internet, uploading footage of alleged UFOs or being able to tell about your experiences? I really don't know. All I know is that these days, these encounters are becoming more and more commonplace. Or at the very least, the person who was abducted is made to feel more comfortable and confident about coming forward. I think if it was like 1950s and you had a housewife saying she had been abducted, she would have probably been locked away in a mental asylum and probably lobotomized, right? Barbara stated that throughout her journey, she has gained so much knowledge and awareness of the cosmos and has just grown so much on a spiritual and intellectual level in having been able to be a part of these people's stories, just becoming a part of them by being their psychotherapist or their hypnotic regressionist. This is where, in my research, Barbara started explaining and talking about just a few of the many different alien races that are involved in this hybrid program. Coming here to Earth and also going to other planets as well to visit certain people. It's not like they're only coming to Earth. As far as what Barbara claims, these aliens are going to all different planets. We're not exclusive. It depends on what they want. Depending on how you feel about the subject, I would say not everyone is special enough to have these experiences, but you could say some people are lucky enough not to have them, these visits from these extraterrestrial beings. But it's been reported that in the United States alone, 8 million people have received at least one visit from an alien life form at one point in their lifetime or another. And that's only the people who can remember, because as we'll see, a lot of these abductions, the memories kind of come back in pieces. The people don't remember everything or anything at all right away. That's a really high number if you think about the fact that I said in the United States alone. These experiences have been widely reported throughout the entire world. So imagine then how many individuals' lives have been directly or indirectly affected by these encounters. Let's talk about some of the accounts from people who claim to have actually been involved in and are still a part of these hybrid programs throughout the world, and also from people who claim to actually be hybrids themselves. One of the most bizarre yet fascinating cases of a person claiming to actually be a hybrid and believing that she went through one of these abduction experiences comes from a woman in Apache Junction, Arizona, in the United States, and her name is Cynthia Crawford. Obviously, not the model, because I know at least one person's going to say that. According to Cynthia, ever since her birth, there has been something inherently different about her. She was born a fraternal twin, but was missing the amniotic sac at her own birth. Believe it or not, this is actually one of the parameters for someone to be a hybrid, the missing of the amniotic sac and fluid in the womb. This is not a common occurrence. If you look it up, this is extremely rare for something like this to happen. It's even less common than on cow births, which I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And they're known to be magic as well. Our own Steve Stockton was a cow baby. So let's focus. Cynthia Crawford always felt she was different from other people her age as far back as she could remember. When she was born without the amniotic sac, the doctors told her mother they had no record of anything like that ever happening before, like ever. I must say, when trying to find info on it online, and admittedly, I only did like a cursory search just to kind of see if this were still true, if it was still uncommon. I couldn't even find anything about it from a Google search. I couldn't even find Cynthia's case. Cynthia had a lot of unnamed health problems throughout her life. All she really said was that she was sick all of the time. She was just ill, unhealthy, kind of like the air in this world didn't agree with her. And remember, she had a fraternal twin who did not have these health issues. She was much more sick and sickly than most other children her age. And this lasted throughout her entire childhood and teenage years as well. And still, as an adult, she's really not in the best of overall health. One of the main and specific health problems Cynthia claims to have is unusually porous bones. It's alleged she had a plethora of psychic powers and had had nightmares also for as long as she can remember about being abducted by aliens and UFO crafts all around her and following her. It didn't take long or much research for Cynthia to draw the conclusion that these constantly recurring nightmares were actually fragments of memories repressed, purposely repressed, probably by the aliens who abducted her. So that's like what I was just talking about. A lot of people, the memories come back in fragments. It's not like you're flashed back into your bed after being abducted and you immediately remember. Some people do, but it's not the normal. All of these things that I just mentioned and much more actually are common denominators in hybrid people. When she was in her 30s, Cynthia finally came forward with what she felt was the truth about her heritage and her genes. The truth about her genetic makeup, if you will, and what she came to find out in report as absolute fact is almost unbelievable, even to seasoned professionals in the UFO and paranormal communities and fields. Her allegations are shocking and hard to believe, just like the other cases I'm going to be talking about. And it's really up to you if you believe in them or not. I believe in most of this. And if you don't, or if you do, be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you think, and let's discuss it. According to Cynthia, she is the product of an elaborate and top secret experiment which mixed human and alien DNA in the hopes of creating a hybrid, which is a mix of the two, alien and human. She claims there are two alien races who have contributed to her DNA. This is strange and unique in itself, as in most cases, it's human and one species of alien. So Cynthia is also special in that way, where she has two races of aliens who contributed to her DNA. I can't even begin to even start research on that. Maybe one day I will. Are they working together to form another species? I don't know. I'm trying to focus on the point here, but of course my mind went there. Cynthia also alleges that her father admitted to her that she was basically an experiment for the extraterrestrials and this hybrid program that they started in order to save their respective races. He allegedly told her she was put into her mother's womb from a petri dish. This is reportedly the reason she was abducted numerous times as a child, and she also believes that this is the reason they studied her so closely and took her with them so often. Cynthia also reports being taken away numerous times by, quote, the government, end quote, to what she claims was a, quote, top secret facility, end quote, where they performed all kinds of extremely invasive medical tests. She says the aliens mainly just wanted to keep track of her progress and how she was doing, on top of performing these experiments on her. She said of all of this, quote, I came from a government experiment. My father told me about it. He had operated with the government in Korea and experimented with alien devices found in their crashed ships. My mom was drugged as part of a program and impregnated with me. For that reason, my DNA is only 34% human, and I've got porous bones, which are typical of my alien family. There are many races: Zoom Zeta, Tall White Zeta, and Blue Arcturian. I love them all. I channel their energies into my sculptures. End quote. Crawford became very well known and somewhat famous for her statues, her sculptures, and she also talked openly and was very public, talking at numerous UFO conferences about her beliefs and experiences. Unfortunately, she died of a brain tumor in 2017. I've read that because she passed away, this means her allegations can never be proven one way or another. I don't really understand this. I mean, DNA existed and was actually quite advanced in 2017, which was just a few years ago. So why was it nothing ever tested before she died, or even since, in her blood, to make these results public? That I don't know. Maybe I didn't come across them yet. Again, I'm still researching, and that wasn't really something I was looking for, but I wanted to see some kind of verification of what she was saying. If she died, they have her blood. If they have her blood, they have DNA. Or is the top secret government who started this whole thing with the aliens, covering it up and making sure that nobody is able to actually prove the existence of the program or the alien DNA in certain humans? I don't know. I mean, that sounds a little bit reasonable to me, though. There's another kind of similar tale of someone claiming to be a hybrid. He was born Tommy Coleman Jr. in Florida, but was adopted, and his adopted family changed his name to Eddie Page. His entire life was full of very strange experiences and not so coincidences. In his youth, he started seeing a, quote, boomerang shaped UFO, end quote. This continued well into his teen years, and he eventually would enlist in the United States Marine Corps. In 1972, he was sent to fight in the Vietnam War, right in the heart of Vietnam. And his assignment, according to him, was to assassinate the Vietnam premier. Eddie was part of what he referred to as a, quote, special elite and secret service group, end quote. Page claims at one point he was overcome by the enemy somehow and blacked out. When he awoke, he says he was standing in the middle of a huge rice paddy and wearing a fresh, clean green uniform, but he was disarmed. None of his weapons were on him or near him. From what he thought was a few minutes later after he had been knocked out and woken up in the rice paddy, he said he was almost immediately captured by the United States military forces, which landed helicopters to, quote, capture and interrogate, end quote, him. It turns out after he was knocked unconscious, they claimed he was actually gone for 11 days, and the field he woke up in was 500 miles away from where he last remembered being with his unit. He says he was absolutely shocked at this information because he thought he had been knocked out and within a couple of minutes woke up in this field. This was obviously not the case. So he was being interrogated and said that the military eventually told him he had, quote, unusual organs and an anomalous blood type, end quote. He even goes so far as to claim that his military records are stamped with, quote, not of human origin, end quote. Eventually, he was released and left alone to live a completely civilian life, but says he was never given any kind of explanation as to why he was in the rice paddy, how he had ended up there, what exactly they were talking about his not being human, essentially. All of the bizarre stuff, I guess, that he was just supposed to and expected to forget about. They never explained anything to him, like who knocked him out. At least not at first, because years later, after understandably being haunted by those uncovered events and memories, he finally underwent hypnotic regression to try and remember what had happened during those 11 days he had lost while in Vietnam. This is when things get really strange. He says he found out that his mission had failed. He was the only survivor out of his whole entire unit, and this was only because before he could die, he was allegedly abducted by the Pleiadian aliens. They had acted very, very quickly to kind of protect their investment or to save him that day because he was facing sure death. He was going to die with his unit. He claims they went through the trouble because he was unknowingly at the time, of course, a part of their hybrid program. This hybrid program, though, according to Eddie Page, was being conducted with the full cooperation of the United States military and government. He says he eventually learned he was one of 32 clones, 21 females, and 11 males who were part of this experiment with the Pleiadians and between the Pleiadians and the military of the United States. He also claims that from the time he was discharged from the military to current day, he was repeatedly and continuously harassed by unknown and unidentified government agents. Just a light bulb thought here, could this have been the Men in Black? Eddie claims to have the medical records from his time in the military, which allegedly have that stamp on it declaring that he is not of human origin, but I couldn't even find one single other person on the internet to corroborate this information. Admittedly, when I do these shorter videos, I do little more than kind of a cursory investigation, so I could just be missing it. And all of it does kind of combine to lead up to a bigger video, a bigger revelation, if you will, later on. This is just the beginning of my research into this. In 2016, a group of women came forward in the UFO community claiming to be the mothers of the hybrid children in these programs, some of them. A woman named Bridget Nielsen and another named Aluna Verse both claimed to have been abducted by aliens and forced to conceive hybrid babies as part of a top secret government hybrid program. Bridget claims to have mothered 10 of these babies herself. The women claim that these hybrid children are left to live aboard massive motherships with their alien fathers, but they are in frequent contact with them. Allegedly, there are tens of thousands of other women who are mothers in this program but aren't even aware of it yet. The whole process happens in a dreamlike state, and ideally, for the aliens at least, it's better if the humans don't ever realize it's real. However, sometimes, many times, and actually most times, the women do eventually, after time, realize it. And that's when the contact from the hybrid child starts. That's when they start being able to go aboard the ship and knowingly visit with their own hybrid children. Even when the women are still unaware, whoever is running these programs still wants the mother and child to have a bond, even if it is formed when the mother thinks she's dreaming and has no idea what's going on, apparently. The way I've heard it explained is that the aliens or whoever is actually running the hybrid program with the aliens, whether it be some form of intergalactic government, our own government in America, as many have often accused, or some form of world government we don't even know about yet, etc. I don't know. They know how important it is for a child to bond with the mother and do everything they can to make that happen. Again, even if the mother knows nothing about it except that she's having a super vivid dream or nightmare, depending on the experience. Both of the aforementioned women have claimed that the fathers of the children, respectively, are of the reptilian type of alien. They also claim that their children have, quote, reptilian features and big black eyes, end quote. Did anyone else think of the BEK the very second I said that about the eyes? I don't think a lot of the BEK reports have them having reptilian features, but the big black eyes, that's why I put so much emphasis in my conclusion and my theories about the BEK that they are some type of hybrid child gone wrong, coming back to haunt the other parent. So there's another author named Julie Kuita who wrote a number of books, one specifically entitled, quote, We Are Among You Already, end quote. And she is a self-proclaimed alien hybrid. When being interviewed by a reporter at a UFO conference, she said, quote, My planet is Farqui and the Andromeda Galaxy. Since birth, I've known I was from another place. I felt isolated and different, that this wasn't my home. I am half reptilian and can shapeshift into another species called Fajan. It's scary when it happens in public, although other people don't necessarily notice because it happens at a higher frequency than humans can see, end quote. One of the articles I read made a very good point here, and how easy it is to say how convenient, or to laugh and say these people are crazy or insane. But I say this, even if it isn't true, and my mental jury is still out on that one, but even if it's not, right? If they feel it's real, then who are we to judge them? In watching these interviews and listening to these people speak, I can tell that regardless of what the actual truth is, they believe it. And I say that's awesome. Everyone needs something to believe in. And while I personally don't believe in every single one of these alleged encounters, I believe in a lot of them. It's all got to come from somewhere, right? Many of these people came to the realization that they were members of this hybrid program, or at the very least different than most people, having something to do with abductions or abductees or whatever, without ever knowing about anyone else's story, without knowing that other people have come forward and claimed to be hybrids. Those stories, like the ones I've mentioned so far above, simply skirt the periphery of the experts in the UFO field. They've attracted much closer attention by others involved in the field, like us perhaps, or the hybrids themselves, searching for someone like-minded and perhaps like-blooded. What I'm trying to say here is that maybe these so-called experts don't know it all, and maybe the people who are out there searching for truth have the right idea. I don't know. So, as most of you probably know already, or at least have imagined, there are so many different types of alien species and races because of the infinite amount of planets, galaxies, all of that. I want to talk about one more alleged encounter, which I believe is very true. In 1994, in Zimbabwe, there were over 60 children playing in the yard at recess at their school, and every single one of them reported seeing a large craft with multiple smaller crafts following behind it. They all landed together, all of these crafts, in a nearby field as the children watched in awe. When reporting what they saw, the children also stated that they saw beings which they described as, quote, not human, end quote. I mention this story in particular because it has been well documented, well researched, and is considered one of the few reported stories which is considered to be true. That is, the experts who have studied it and the people who have researched it all believe that very likely this incident, whatever it was, alien or not, right, is absolutely 100% fact. It is known as a true event. The amount of witnesses, I think, plays a role in their opinions, though, and one of these experts is Harvard University psychologist Dr. John Mack. He personally interviewed each and every one of these children. He wasn't the only one to do this, of course, but this was a big deal. He's a big deal in the UFO community. This sighting in Zimbabwe got worldwide attention at the time, and here is what Dr. Mack said of his interviews with the children. Quote, Yes, it's both. It's both literally and figuratively happening to a degree. It's also some kind of psychological, spiritual experience occurring and originating perhaps in another dimension. And so the phenomenon stretches us, or it asks to stretch us open to the realities that are not simply the literal physical world, but to extend to the possibility that there are probably other unseen realities from which our consciousness, our, if you will, learning processes over the past 100 years have closed us off. End quote. Can I just say I've literally no idea what that even means? I have to go through it again because I understood the end of it there, but what he's basically saying is it so beyond the scope of our brains and imagination to think that something like this could actually happen? Or do we need to chalk everything like this up to hysterical, witnessing or whatever? Anyways, to finish up here, I just want to say there have been literally hundreds, if not thousands, of supposed encounters with virtually no rational or reasonable explanation. I say virtually because even when there is an explanation, many people who don't believe in this, they in turn don't believe in the encounter without proof, which, as we know, it is almost impossible to get. Let me know what you all think in the comments. I'll have another one of these up for you guys soon, and maybe we'll talk about the different species and the different possible reasonings for why they need a hybrid program. I know my thoughts about why the Greys need one, definitely. Guys, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if you liked hanging out with me, and if you want to see more videos like this. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and share the love. Share this video. Thank you so much for coming and sitting with me and discussing all of this stuff today. I get really excited when I get to talk about things like the alien hybrid program because it's all new to me. Researching things like this, I usually stick with true crime. I'm delving more into the paranormal. If you want to see more of me, please be sure to check out the description box. Steve Stockton and I host a show called Real Evil on DZombified's channel every Wednesday night.
Okay, let me stop this one. Oops. Oops. Let me switch it over so I can get the next one ready. If we do another one, what time is it? Oh, it's 12:30. Yeah. Talk amongst you. Yeah, that is so true, Edna. That is so true. And I know it's traumatic because my ex went through one right before Giles. Yeah, well, I can only imagine because I know Tina went through the ex after that miscarriage. She went through some, you could see things messing inside her head, but it was so much better now. And I mean, she realized, things happen. It is heartbreaking because hers was a really messy one. And from what we were told, it was probably a good thing because there might have been something wrong with it or something, and the good Lord took it. But it was not a pretty situation. I felt for her. I mean, I literally babied that woman for months till I felt she was okay to, be herself. Well, she was herself, but you know what I'm saying. So I can believe somebody, if a woman has been traumatic enough to maybe believe something like that, where there might have been a reason for her too. Yeah, I think you'd be surprised how many people, married couples and couples, have been through miscarriages. It happens a lot more than people realize. Now, she just had the one. And at first, I thought they were trying to tell us that she wouldn't be able to have kids after that one. But man, Giles popped about 2 years later, a year later, there he was. It is very possible that somebody might. This world is such a crazy place right now, and it has been for a long time, that I honestly believe just about anything's possible. And if they tell you it's not possible, 2 to 1, it's probably possible. You want more aliens, or do you want to go spooky? Give me an idea. And then next week, I think I'll do another one of the high strangeness. I was just trying to give them a break and stretch them out a little bit before we plow through those. My mind doesn't jump to alien or woo, right? Mine doesn't usually either. There would have to be something involved in the switch in that situation or any situation for me to think that way. I mean, I'd have to see or notice something that just was out of place for me to think that. That's awesome. I have to make it make sense. I always do. I think that's human instinct, is to try to make sense of it. So aliens, or should I stay with the aliens? Because I think there was actually another one about the hybrids. Let me see if I can find it. And it is great news, Latro. You should be proud. Okay. I might do next week. I may do one of the double features because they're fairly sweet. Short too. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to find. Okay, there's one more. Okay, she does have one there. Okay, let me make sure that's the only one before I go, because I have a habit of skipping ones. Okay, I'm trying to find the one. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Trying to find the one I just played. What the heck? Hey, when I do this, I just had it. There it is. Okay. I must have played part 2 because. Wait a minute. That's weird. What did I. Where'd it go? No, I can't find it. Okay, I know I'm close. Okay. Then we did do the part 2 first. I should have done that one first. Okay. So we did do the part 2. Let me find it again. Which was, oh my gosh, I hate when I do this. I used to put them all out where I could find them, but I've been jumping around lately, so trying to stretch out the stream a little bit too. Part 2 was Alien Hybrids, part 2. I could put that one on, but we've seen it already. But there is one. She's also got 2 reptilian ones too. I'm going to show. Fractured family, doing what I can. Father's side estranged, my fault. Don't always blame yourself, Latro. There might be a lot more involved than just you. I don't know the situation, but I'm just saying. Okay, we'll just go ahead and do the third one then. Where did I have? I just added 2. Oh my gosh. That's what makes it fun now. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. I just had it. Come on, man. Come on, man. I had them tagged. And every time I switch back and forth, I untag them. I just had it. Okay, here we go. This one's 25 minutes, give or take. Yeah, there always is 2 sides to every story. That is true. Knowing what I know now, things would have been different. And it's hard to say that, Latro, only because even if you know what you know now then, would it still make a difference? You might find out sometimes it doesn't. That things will still play out the way they were meant to play out. But let me get this set up. This was one. Oh, this is one where she's got an echo. Okay, let me make sure. But it should be good. Must have been our mic. Okay, this one's 2 years old. It must have been a Monday video because there is chat with it, but we won't worry about that. Make amends, yes, and from somebody who knows. Before your life ends or you move on to your next plane, you want to fix the things you can fix and accept the things that you can't. Okay, let me get this up here. Ooh. Hey, when my face feels like it's twitching. Okay, 1 sec. That was a lot of my problem last night. Kids do need the elders. But like I said, it is important to fix the things that you can fix, accept the things that you can't. Make peace with what you can, too. Because it's just not about fixing it. It's making peace with it. Everything before you move on. In one form or another. Okay, 1 second here. We got distracted. Okay. I want my beard back. If it weren't for that neck surgery, I can always go get a tuck job. Nah, growing old's fun. I don't have no problems growing old. Okay, 1 second here. Share. Okay. Make sure I got it up there. Okay, good. Switch. They're making me switch now. We did all this and it's been weird. And here we go.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. And if you're
now there is an echo, so just kind of bear with it.
My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be discussing more on the alien hybrid topic. I've covered alien hybrids a time or two on this channel, and I know it's a subject that many of you either have experiences with, are interested in, or both. In looking for my next topic to cover, I kept coming across hybrids, hybrid programs, seeding programs, but most often in the past few weeks or so, it's been coming more and more to my attention that former abductees, men and women alike, who have been brought into rooms while aboard these crafts seemingly in order to meet their hybrid children. So what I've been coming across lately has been more about that, about them meeting what they think are their kids. As someone who very much believes, especially in recent years, as I come to working with my abilities or getting comfortable in them, and as more and more of those repressed memories of my own abduction surface, I feel like it was only natural I be led here at this time to share all of this with you. Our extraterrestrials and whatever species there may be, and believe me guys, in the past year alone, I've come across so many. Think the high strangeness videos, right? I mean, we've come across some pretty strange stuff, but mainly the Greys and the reptilians abducting us and either impregnating the women and then taking the fetus when it's just big enough for them to put it into and grow it out, or until it's ready to be born in their own incubators. There have been witnesses to this as well. Are they doing these reproductive experiments on us only to abduct us later on and introduce us to our own offspring, the hybrid children and or babies? I believe that this is absolutely the case. I came across some information and of course some encounters that I want to share with you all today, and be sure as always to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So grab onto your spacesuits and get ready to meet some creepy bug-eyed kids, because today we are exploring the issue/controversy of the alien hybrids themselves and the alleged hybrid programs. This is not going to be the end with just this video. So let's jump right in. I'll start by talking about the descriptions we always hear of the spaceships people are taken aboard. Whether it be for healings, completely invasive procedures we can't even begin to comprehend, or any number of other things we are taken up into the ships for, the basic description we are given is of a dull and drab, grayish, terribly lit, usually quite large, seemingly sterile hospital room type of environment with overly bearing bright fluorescent lights. However, something that's recently caught my attention is the rooms the abductees who are being introduced to their own hybrid children are brought into, because it's such a stark contrast to the aforementioned normal environment, being the normal environment we're always
hearing about. These other environments look very much like rooms in our own human dwellings. And aside from the fact that we have been abducted from our homes and from our human world here, there really doesn't seem to be much difference, at least from what's being reported. Reports of carpeted bedrooms complete with posters on the wall and lava lights that seem to be very much age appropriate to whatever age the child being brought in to meet the abductee is. So, a toy box full of what looked like some bizarre mix of human toys for a toddler-aged hybrid, or the aforementioned posters and lava lights in the rooms of teenage hybrid kids. It must be so surreal entering into one of these spaces while at the same time knowing full well that you are aboard an interstellar spaceship. This all seems to me to be very possibly some sort of attempt to normalize or possibly even humanize the idea of these hybrids to the abductees. Whatever the case may be, I have to recognize that there could be any number of reasons for this to be occurring in this particular way, meaning it's being forced upon us. And of that, there's definitely no doubt. But is it for us to meet our children, regardless of how they were conceived, so that we can bond with them and so they can get to know their human side a little bit? Or could there be that there's a much more sinister reason, like for us to meet our hybrid children and get comfortable with and used to them, in order for us to be more programmed or whatever when the hybrids come and take over our planet and possibly enslave us? So are we, the parents of these hybrids, going to be saved, or are we going to be the first to be obliterated? I mean, so many questions, guys. I feel like, though, that your decision on that will most likely be dependent upon what you already believe about extraterrestrials and why they come to visit us in the first place, or even why they seem so desperate to be making these hybrids. I've done some other videos and I'll link them in the description box below. Are they trying to save their race, or are they trying to make these hybrids who think and function both like they do and like human beings do? Or is it something else altogether? I really don't know. And as usual, I'm not trying to change anyone's minds one way or the other, but just trying to get you thinking about some of these things, because being educated, in my opinion, is our best weapon in case an all-out war blasts out someday. Okay, so what am I talking about here? Because I am once again kind of off on one of my Gemma tangents. Let's bring it back to the hybrids and move forward with this video. Let's get into our first encounter. Jennifer, from my home state of New Jersey, was in her mid-30s when she started reporting her very vivid recall of personal experiences with hybrids. This could very well be when she started remembering them too, but I'm not sure about that detail, like how these memories came about. Jennifer's memories go all the way back to her childhood years, and there's definite abduction and missing time memories here. Her experiences were based on what we would now call the gray aliens, but she recognized them as a child as little men. She would often have these experiences and interactions when she would visit her grandmother's house, which was also in New Jersey and in a very wooded and rural area of the state. Her grandmother allegedly has some recall of seeing these little men in the woods as well herself. Jennifer's mother is also, according to Jennifer, an abductee, from what I understand. This is very relevant to me because it shows the intergenerational aspect to abductions as well. That's not to say all people who are abductees are going to have their children or their parents or someone down the line be abductees, but it does happen more often than not, believe it or not. So Jennifer has this recall of these repressed and possibly even shielded memories, and has had so many other memories brought up through hypnosis as well. One of her many memories stood out to me as far as the relevance of the topic at hand, the hybrids. She claims that in 2009, she was abducted from her home, but that she wasn't brought into a spaceship or anything like that, or at least that's what she originally thought, because it's still pretty hazy. She says it was, quote, like an old military base, but shut down, end quote. This isn't the first time it's been reported that places like these old shut down bases, even ones from centuries ago, and there's a lot of that specifically in New Jersey, being one of the original 13 colonies, being used as some sort of cover for extraterrestrials to abduct us and not have to bother with bringing us aboard their own ships. Heck, we don't even have to leave the planet anymore, and some of these bases are said to be underground, even underwater. But are these screen memories of these old bases, or are we actually being taken there? From what I've come to understand through my research is that sometimes it's actually happening and other times it's not. Memory implants, guys, terrifying. But Jennifer's experiences took place in this old abandoned base, which may or may not be right here on planet Earth. Her encounter isn't the point here as much as what she saw was, and these little men were most likely actually hybrid children. Her memories were mainly screens though, so I want to focus on what she recalled while undergoing hypnosis. She said the memory was of stepping out of a large black sedan, but in actuality, the sedan was a screen and it was actually some sort of UFO. It's a common belief that these screen memories are used mainly to confuse the victim or abductee about what has actually taken place. She describes being very groggy, very disoriented as she was led from the quote unquote vehicle to an elevator, and three little figures whom she couldn't remember much were guiding her. She simply remembers that they were dwarfish, and nothing else about their mannerisms, stature, or physical appearances stood out to her. What happened next, though, was extremely vivid and something she would never forget, it seems, no matter how hard the ETs tried to make her. Jennifer remembers descending in the elevator for an extremely long time and was then taken into a very large room which contained in it 6 hybrid children, all but one male, and tons of toys. Human toys too, as there were regular teddy bears, dolls, and an unusual amount of stuffed toy dogs. The children themselves looked as though they were on death's door. They were remarkably pale, extremely skinny, and had stringy and unhealthy looking bright yellow hair. They had no interest at all in the toys whatsoever. The kids sat all in a row on chairs that were placed up against the far wall facing her. Jennifer was instructed to encourage the children to play with the toys. This apparently was the reason for the whole abduction itself, and it was almost as though there was some sort of sacred charge or mission happening here. Despite this seeming like it's a really super important task, Jennifer claims she was not successful, and the kids seemed to show more interest in her playing with the toys than in wanting to do so themselves, even after she repeatedly tried to encourage them and show them how. As she handed the teddy bears to them, or at least pushed them into the general direction of the children, they remained completely disinterested. Again and again, and I believe this happened telepathically from the beings who led her into the place, but I can't be sure because it's not specified in my source material. She was encouraged to interact with and engage these hybrid kids. After a little while of this, she was told it was time to go and ushered back toward the door. She once again has this screened memory of entering the large vehicle, taking a sort of long ride, and exiting the sedan again. Again, though, this was almost certainly the memory of being in the UFO haphazardly and eventually ineffectively being covered up in order to, at the very least, confuse the girl about what had really happened. It certainly didn't explain how or why she eventually ended up in a place that seemed to be deeply underground inside of the earth. So, you tell me, was this all a dream or an elaborate tale made up in order to what? Garner some attention for herself from all of the doubters and skeptics and trolls of the world and bring about all of the unwanted attention she surely had to endure after coming forward? Again, staying true to the topic of hybrids, I would like to switch gears just a little bit. Jennifer could have been, and most likely was, somehow related to those hybrids she was told to help that day. I believe this because her mother and grandmother claim to have also been abducted and to have met hybrid babies and children. But without further information on any of that, I am forced to leave you all hanging and just move on from this encounter. There are people who say that being abducted actually turned them into hybrids, and I want to bring this to your attention while on the subject because, as always, I'm curious to know what you guys think. I'll be the first to admit that I am not much of a skeptic, but only because of my myriad of experiences throughout my life and people not believing me, not only about personal experiences, but my abilities as well. And I am so very reluctant to ever call anyone a flat out liar, even when what they're saying may ring less than true to me. Not saying this woman is one way or the other either, a liar or an experiencer, but just that I need to hear others' viewpoints. So as always, I'll ask if you'll simply humor me as I retell her story. We're discussing now an encounter I found in the book Strange Intruders by David Weatherly, who I absolutely love. It's about a pair of sisters whose names were changed to protect the anonymity to Justine and Catherine. These two girls were very close from a young age, and maybe closer than most as they had to support each other when things got rough, like when their parents were divorcing at a young age, and many other things that make siblings really come to bond with each other. I bring this tight bond between them up because it's kind of what made things all the more strange when one day, seemingly out of the clear blue sky, Catherine informed Justine that she would not only be leaving, but that they most likely wouldn't be seeing each other or even talking for a really long while. She didn't give a reason, even when pressed by her worried and saddened sister/best friend. Catherine simply left one day and didn't communicate at all with anyone, and for all intents and purposes, it was thought as though she had simply vanished into thin air, leaving no trace of herself or any contact information behind at all. She was gone, blowing in the wind somewhere. As the weeks, months, and then years slowly ticked by, Justine often wondered about her sister and whether or not she was ever going to see her again. Let alone, I'm sure, the fear she must have felt worrying about not only why her sister left the way she did in the first place, but the reasoning behind it, and also why had no one heard from Catherine in all of this time? After approximately 3 whole years had passed, Catherine surfaced almost as quickly and randomly as she had vanished, calling Justine and explaining nothing more than that she had been living in Colorado the entire time and that she needed her sister to drop everything and come visit her immediately. Of course, Justine went to her sister in Colorado without hesitation and with a lot of questions, I'm sure. Everything went well at first, though, and it was almost as though no time had passed at all. At first, when Justine finally got up the courage to ask her sister about what she had been up to in the previous 3 years she had been gone, Catherine seemed to become visibly agitated and closed herself right up. She refused to talk about it at all. Justine was rightfully concerned, but she decided not to push the issue, and it seems that this was the best thing because the next night, Catherine decided to tell her sister everything she had been so adamant about keeping to herself the night before. So she was ready to spill the tea. She said she had needed time and space to try and work through what she was remembering had been happening to her, allegedly, since they were both small children. Whether or not what happened next to Justine was connected to anything her sister had just confessed to or not is up for debate, but it wasn't long after that that she had her own remarkable and quite unbelievable, so some may say, experience of her own that she probably needed to work through after that as well. On the drive home from visiting her sister, Justine stopped at a random gas station along the side of some desolate stretch of desert road somewhere. She recalls the day being clear and the weather beautiful, and as she filled her gas tank, she was lost in her own world of thoughts, mainly about seeing her sister again and what her sister had recently confided in her. So, we have all been to a gas station at one point in our lives. I feel safe saying this. And the island the pumps are on is usually just where they are, and possibly a booth for an attendant, depending on where you live. So it was quite surprising and somewhat jarring when Justine's thoughts were completely interrupted by a young girl just standing there on the little island where the pumps are next to her car. She described the girl as being young, but strange looking somehow. She was off. She was wearing an old, raggedy, and tattered cream-colored dress and was thin almost to the point where she was all bones and no skin. Her hair was blonde, but to the point of almost looking white, thin and dirty looking, and her eyes were oddly large, like no other human Justine had ever seen before. In fact, her eyes were completely and totally inhuman. They were fully black too, no whites, no sclera or other color in them at all. And this was very scary and shocking for Justine, especially as the odd girl just stood there staring at her and not saying anything. She also got to thinking it would have been impossible to miss this girl as she stood out like a sore thumb, and also because there was no one else but the store attendant inside. So where had this chick come from in the first place, and why did it seem as though she simply appeared out of nowhere right there in front of Justine's car simply to stare at her? Also, the girl seemed way too young to just be hanging around by herself, but again, there was no one else there, so that meant she wasn't with parents or guardians at all. Justine doesn't say how young the child was, but either way, she seemed to believe parental overview should have been necessary. There seemed to be no rhyme or reason why a young child should be wandering out in the middle of nowhere like that, not to mention those really super duper creepy eyes she was just glaring at her with. Not wanting to be rude and being a little frightened, Justine simply waved and said hello. All of a sudden, right then, the child finally spoke, staring directly into Justine's eyes and not blinking. She said, quote, "We're halfway there," end quote. For a couple of minutes, the two just stood there in silence as Justine didn't know how to respond to this creepy kid and her seemingly nonsensical statement. Then the child spoke again, quote, "Your sister Catherine will understand. It's for all of us," end quote. At the mention of her beloved sister, Justine seemed to be jolted back to reality and in her shock started to approach the girl. I'm not sure what she meant to do by getting closer, but as she approached, she said she immediately felt an overwhelming sense of dread, fear, and terror wash over her, and the distinct feeling that she should not get any closer. The girl never moved or wavered or blinked, and as Justine started slowly backing away in order to get back into her car and continue on her drive home, and most likely this was mainly due to her terror, the child said again, quote, "We're halfway there," end quote. Justine put aside all pretense and got into her car quickly, looking down as she fumbled with her keys. When she looked back up, the girl was gone, and no trace she had ever been there in the first place was left behind. Justine drove off as fast as she could and never looked back. David Weatherly continued about the experience, saying, quote, "She was horrified by her encounter and had to take time to calm herself down before phoning her sister and asking her about the upsetting little girl who had mentioned her by name. Catherine told her point blank that she had seen a hybrid, just like the one she had previously mentioned that weekend. They hadn't discussed hybrids in great detail. Justine had trouble accepting that her sister had been abducted by extraterrestrials, let alone that said extraterrestrials were using abductees in a hybrid breeding program of some description. Although Catherine had hinted that she had experienced something like this violating procedure, but Justine just couldn't bring herself to ask about it. Overall, she says that she doesn't know if the girl she saw was a hybrid, but she knows that she wasn't imagining it, end quote. What do you guys think? Our next encounter is possibly a bit more well known to those of us who research these types of things, and our witness slash victim's name is Marissa Luttrell. Marissa was legally blind and had gotten a new roommate to move in with her, whose name was Rachel. According to Marissa's mom, Helen, she always thought that Rachel was very, very strange. It didn't matter what the weather was, what time of day or night it was, and whether she was in or outdoors. Helen claimed that Rachel always wore wraparound sunglasses, super thick clothing, and scarves around her head and neck. She wasn't one to pass judgments, and although she thought it was really odd, she chalked it up to the girl being eccentric and nothing more. One day, though, Helen was visiting her daughter at her house when Rachel slipped and nearly fell down. As Helen reached out to catch Rachel and stop her from falling and hurting herself, she claims the girl's arms were, quote, impossibly thin, end quote, and that they felt as though there were no bones in the skin underneath the heavy clothing she was undoubtedly wearing. So it felt like just muscle, I guess, and skin, no bone at all. You know, you grab someone's arm, you can feel their bones. The high strangeness didn't stop there, though, because this is all subject to her opinion about how something felt. What she actually saw next when the girl's sunglasses fell off of her face is a whole other terrifying oddity altogether. Helen alleges that Rachel had gigantic avocado green eyes with vertical slits in the middle of them. Rachel tried to play it cool and simply put the glasses back on and said thank you to Helen for breaking her fall. It was too late, though, and there was definitely no going back from what Helen had witnessed in that moment. Helen relayed what she had seen to her daughter, and they both confronted Rachel about it. Rachel allegedly responded that the truth was she was from another planet, an alien of sorts from Zeta Reticuli. She was an alien-human hybrid. She further explained that she was doing her best to try and blend in there on Earth and with other humans, and that she chose a legally blind roommate in order to better keep her secret. I mean, she did, after all, have to keep it so no one knew about her, and that was much easier to do when living in such a small space with a roommate who had Marissa's condition. The man she had presented to everyone as her father was actually a man named Colonel Harry Nadian from Masters Air Force Base and was actually her handler. She said she had been to her alien parents' home planet after being raised in Area 51, but chose to return to Earth to live out her life, visiting Zeta Reticuli sometimes. Rachel informed Marissa and Helen that all over the world, human-alien hybrids were being raised and taught how to blend into our society and with us humans. A few weeks after this shocking and bizarre confession, Rachel seemed to vanish without a trace, and in some sort of seeming medical miracle, Marissa regained her eyesight completely. So she had now 20/20 vision after just a week earlier and for her entire life being legally blind. There is allegedly an entire book based on this encounter with Rachel, and it's called Rachel's Eyes, and it was written by Linda Moulton Howe, and is one I am definitely going to be looking for on Kindle or hopefully Audible very soon. So I definitely want very badly to believe this one, guys, and something deep within me tells me that it's true, but I'll let you all know more after I check out that book. Also, let me know in the comments if you've read this book or if you've heard of any other encounters or anything like this before, because super interesting for sure. However, if this is to be believed, though, then isn't it also true that not only are extraterrestrials of all kinds running these hybrid programs and abducting mostly unsuspecting men and women straight from their beds at night, but also that at the very least, the United States government and at most governments all over the world, in military bases everywhere, and most specifically Area 51, are also conducting them, or at least helping with the integration of the hybrids into our human speech societies. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely believe this one as well. There's so much more I've recently come across on hybrids, and this is definitely only the tip of the iceberg. So let me know if you want to hear more in the near future, because I'm starting to look into why they may be doing this. Why are they integrating? How long have they been doing it? Like, to what end? That's all I have for you today, guys. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the content, if you enjoyed hanging out with me, if you just want to see me smile. Spread the love by sharing this video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. In the description box, you will find links to the other videos I've done on seeding programs, hybrid programs, and I might put the reptilians in there as well, because I think I talk about hybrids with them in that video. Also, links to my books, Missing the Fae Theory and Encounters with Evil, 101 True and Terrifying Stories.
Yeah, check out the books, folks. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop this
in the
one.
description box. If you'd like to donate to the channel, PayPal,
Just go to
CashApp,
Amazon. Those books are
Patreon, and
good.
my
Her
Amazon
books are
wish
good. They're
list
worth
gift
the read.
link. If you would like a personal, intuitive oracle reading from me, the remote readings are half price for the rest of November through to
That's not true.
Thanksgiving.
They're 60
That's
bucks.
20
Okay,
bucks
let me
a
get
pop.
this off
So
here.
if
There we go. I don't like the full screen. Let me close this down. There we go. And we're good. Yeah, I had some brats yesterday. I was in the mood for some brats, so we had brats. Today, I ate the leftover hamburgers for dinner. Son was at a wedding. Pop wasn't in the mood to eat much, so we ate leftovers. Yeah, I said your and Edna's names earlier because I was hoping you guys were doing good and long and pop in. So maybe I'll start saying names to certain people and see who all shows up. Vixen hasn't been by tonight, but she might be resting. I know she stays pretty busy. So Vixen, if you listen later or popping in, hello. I hope you're well, dear. Same thing with Cindy Lee. Hope you're good, honey. The ghost woke me up. Well, I didn't say your name 3 times this time, so that's on you. You can see where I had my glasses on all day. But I hope you're good, sir. I hope Alaska's treating you well. Her books are very good, easy to read, holds my attention. Yeah, they go, and that's one thing I like about some of these books. I can plow through them, but see, I read a whole book in a day, and not even a day. But yeah, it seems like tonight everybody has name that I brought up has popped in. And Rosie, thanks for popping in. You're welcome, and I'm glad you stopped in. I hope you're still here. We're just going to chit-chat from here on out. I usually do 2 uploads, and then we talk a little bit. Then I shut it down about 1. That's about 2 hours. Doctors are giving me a hard time because I've been fiddling around, working too much, so they want me to rest. Oh, so do I. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Once I get started, even if I don't like the book, I'll finish it. Because I'm that type of person. I got to finish what I start. I don't even remember most of it since it's been so long. But I read War and Peace in like 1 day. And this guy was freaking out. He was like, you read that thing? And I, yeah. And back then, I could have probably told you everything I read. But it's been so long, I'd have to reread it again. That's a thick book, and it takes a lot to absorb. And I do remember it was very complex. But yeah, I read in 1 day. In fact, I remember sitting at the library. I got there at 8 o'clock. I didn't even check the book out. I just sat down at the table and started reading. I'm not a speed reader. It's just I'm focused. When I read, I'm I'm on it. Especially if I'm reading something I like. Even if I don't like it, I still read it. If it's something to entertain me for a little bit. I sat in the doctor's office one day, and this lady was cracking up. They were like behind a few patients, so I was there for a while sitting in that reading room. I must have read every magazine I could find. The lady was like, "You're reading everything." I'm bored. And I can't stand to watch hospital television because it's always the news. I couldn't get through it. I got through it only because it was kind of a challenge. It's an interesting read, that's for sure. Now, I'd have to, if I wanted to give you guys details on the book, I'd have to go back and reread it. I probably still could do it in a day. Now that I got my new glasses, I'll probably be able to do it in no time. But a lot of people can't get through it. A lot of people make it through like the first 3 chapters, and they've had enough. You imagine if you had to read that in school. Because in some military academies, you got to read that book. At least they did in the day. I don't know if they still do. And you're very welcome, Rose. I saw your thank you. Yeah, if you're still watching Rose, yeah, she wears wigs. She likes to wear the wigs. She give about detail, but she enjoys them. I think it's nice change without having to dye your hair and stuff like that. You know, dyeing your hair is not really good for you anyways. I don't suggest it. Even men, and it cracks me up, men dye their hair. Man, growing gray is the best part of life. Even though I've had my gray since I was 12. Used to be all white. Yeah, a lot of women do. It gives them a change. Like I said, it's better than dyeing it. Especially if you want to rotate around and stuff. Now, she had other reasons to wear it too. And it's a little bit more for confidence, but I think she looks good in them. I like the fact that she likes to change it up. Sorry, my nose is going to town. Is it just me and you, Edna, or is there still 5 watching? Oh, there's still 5 people watching. Hello, 5 people. Join in the conversation. So, AK, while you're cooking those brats, you can cook me a couple more. They sound good. Edna, you want a brat? I'm too lazy to dye my hair. Don't you have really long hair anyways? I can imagine dyeing really long hair. Oh my gosh, that'd be a nightmare. That was a long time ago, dude. A long time ago. And it was a day. Yes, it was in a day. I started at 8 o'clock, and I think it was I was just finishing it up after the library kicked me out. The only time I got up once was to go to the bathroom. Those days are done gone now. Because I'd be getting up 4 or 5 times now. Age sets in. Oh, great. Thanks, AK. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's very long and super thick. Yeah, it's 1,1225 pages. I probably could do it still. I just would have to be prepared to do it. And maybe I'd be able to remember it. Because that was many moons ago. I think I was still in high school. In fact, I think it was my either sophomore or junior year. It was that summer. I think it was in the summer between those. I don't think I'd sit down and read it again. I found it kind of boring too and tedious. If I remember right. And dude, I've seen people read books bigger than that in less than a day. So that's not really that big of an accomplishment. It's really not. So I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. I'm not. Because I've seen people read it too in a day. I'm not the only one that's done it. But it does take a lot of patience, a lot of time, and solid reading, and a good pace. That's all speed reading is it's just, speed reading is just reading the main lines. You're kind of picking and choosing what makes sense. Everybody does it differently. Everybody has their own little technique. I'm not a speed reader. I used to be able to do it. But sometimes speed reading, it doesn't all set in your head like it should. So I don't do it. I'm still reading the lost text, shaking my head, shaking my faith a little. Sometimes I have to put them down. Yeah, it will shake your faith a little bit, but some of those lost texts I have concerns about. I read a couple a while back ago. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, well, they say this and this, and they're this old, but some of that stuff just doesn't add up. But that's me. But yeah, some of it's kind of crazy stuff, and it does shake your faith a little bit. And maybe that's what it's supposed to do. Make you see how strong your faith really is. I appreciate all the people stopping in. Latro, he sounds, bless his heart. Still listening, dude. Man, you're a good man. Always remember that. We're all a little quirky in our own little ways. Yeah, that's just, I'm a seeker. I want to know the truth. See, that's me. Why do you think that I'd be the one, if I heard whistling in the words or somebody calling my name, why do you think I go chase it? Because I want to know the truth. Though I was listening to some, was it Thursday night? I couldn't sleep for a little bit. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was listening to stories out of the Appalachian Mountain. Some of the stories, man. But that's why I go chasing after stuff. I want to know the truth. I want to see it with my own eyes. I want to be able to say, okay, I get it. I don't want to, but I get it. Because there's been times that I went chasing and I found what I was looking for. And it wasn't a good thing. Kind of reality check is one might think. Oh, I do. Sometimes these guys, I freak these guys out because you would think I can get loud feet sometimes, but I'm pretty quiet. Especially when I'm on the hunt for something. I'm a pretty sneaky guy. And if I want to really find it, I'll start yelling back just to see if they come looking for me. But yeah, that stuff, Edna, that little story I told about me, somebody calling my name and stuff in the woods, that's not the only time it's happened. It's happened to me quite a bit. And I drive people nuts because I go looking. I want to know what's being said. Or we'd hear people talking in the woods and I'd go looking. They'd all be yelling and screaming at me, don't go look, man. You might not. Well, I got to know the truth. I got to know what's out there for our protection. You can't fight something you can't see unless you can see it or know what you're fighting or dealing with. You don't go running through the woods like a bull in a china shop, whistling all the way. I've done that, though. Edna, I've done stuff like that in my heyday. Now I'm a little bit more stealthy, a little more careful about how I approach things. Because doing it that way, Edna, can be a real shock. But Believe me, somebody knows. Because I've gone running through the China shop like a bull. Yeah, and I figured you knew I have. I'm not afraid. It takes a lot to make me scared. I mean, I got tagged this morning. Now I'll talk about that Wednesday. Because that wasn't it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. And I can't stand it when I see something and I'm pretty sure it doesn't see me. Then all of a sudden it lets me know it can see me seeing it. So it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it always seems to leave a burn mark on me. This one actually is. I don't know if you can see it. I had one over here the other day, but that was right there. It's just a little mark now. There's Vic. Now, see, I brought up Vixen Note. I just said Vixen Doe, and look who's here. I'm just going to start saying names and see who all shows up. Hello, dear. I just said your name. I did the same thing with the AK, and he popped in. Edna earlier. I know you're not afraid. You're cautious. I've become more cautious now. Edna. I'm not afraid, and I would. And there are still moments that I still may go chase after it. But no, I'm not afraid. I'm a lot more cautious now. A ghost called you in. Now, if Cindy Lee shows up, I'll have a heart attack. Because that's weird, because everybody's name that I've mentioned tonight has showed up. And real truth, if you're still out there, thank you for popping in. Appreciate it. And folks, when you do come and go, please make sure you hit that like button. That's all I ask. If not for me, for Gemma. This is what this is about. This is why I do what I do on Wednesdays and Saturday nights is for her. That would be so awesome to watch me have a heart attack because somebody else came in, like said their name. I would lose it, Edna. This is not the only time that's happened. It's happened like this before one night where I brought up people hoping they're well, and all of a sudden they show up. But this is one of the nights in a long time that all but 4 names, all but one name has showed up. Everybody else I brought up showed up. So that's pretty wild. But I know Cindy Lee, she's a busy lady. Just like a lot of us. All those damn grandkids. I don't know if I can deal with so many grandkids, but that's so awesome. Now, that's a family that likes big families. Yeah, I hope she's doing well too. I know she's been. I try to keep tabs of everybody on Facebook, but I've hardly been on Facebook. Heck, I started a TikTok, did a few little videos, uploads, and I still haven't done anything since. I'm go. I'm trying to play catch up still. I got caught up and then I fell behind because I got sick. Now I'm trying to get caught up again. But I'm sure I know she's got a lot of birthdays going on right now because I've been seeing a lot of her birthday posts, which is awesome. And I know she's been in and out of the hospital too. So I pray for her a lot. And like I said, just about everybody in the chat I have on a prayer list, even if you need it or not. So I got on TikTok just to watch. Just don't let it fry your brain too bad, because I find myself sometimes scrolling a little too long. It's like, okay. But I'm not a TikToker. Though I probably will post. I do need to post an update on my Godzilla and some other things I'm doing. And then she wants to do some stuff together. So we're going to probably do some stuff together on there. And I know she wants a live stream on there. She should be able to. I got a notice today saying I'm allowed to live stream on TikTok if I want to. That would be interesting. Heck, I could barely keep up with you guys in here by myself. You know, I don't have a scratching board or all kinds of crazy stuff to mess with. It's all me. And this is what you get, is me. I don't get to say a whole lot when she's around. Yeah, now that the weather is getting warmer, I'm going to be outside soaking up the sun too, for sure. I got a lot of outdoor work to do, and the weather's been so crazy here with all the rain. You guys still getting rain? It finally stopped today. Just a cloudy kind of, the wind was cool. We stayed in about mid-70s. We got up to like 80, then it got real cool and cloudy. It's kind of chilly, but not bad outside at all right now. Yeah, I'm hoping this time I actually have firewood and everything ready to go. So I may do one of the Wednesday night streams a little early and sit up by the fire because I've been wanting to do that for a while. We are still having some storms. Yeah, you guys are getting that stuff that we got yesterday. Excuse me. So, Vixen, did you have a good week? I hope you had a good week. Hope you're doing well, dear. Didn't want you to just come in and say hi and then not say hola. Ooh. Heard of a not deer. Yeah, what is with this not deer stuff? I've heard this a few times a lot lately in the last few weeks. They say that the female not deer are protective of human females. They are supposed to love to attend dances. Now, I've heard a lot about not deers. A lot in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I never asked about it, and I haven't really had a chance to sit down and research it. So that little post comment you made there is a big help. So that kind of tells me where to look. Bad stories, a lot of damage. You know, in the Ohio Valley and all around me, Friday, they had 21 people pass because of these storms. All kinds of messes happened. Some pretty violent tornadoes. So what exactly, Vixen and Edna, are these things? Because I saw, what was it? It started with a video I saw about 4 weeks ago. And this picture of a deer. This guy had a picture of a deer. He kept saying, that is not a deer. That's a not deer. And when you see one, you should run. And I'm like, what the heck? It looks like a deer to me. What's different about it? And then I looked at the picture a little bit more, and something did seem to be off. Yes, we had trees come down and took off. Yeah, I heard it was really bad. During stream last night, well, Friday night. Yes, I guess it's after midnight, so I have to say Friday night now. We had thunder and lightning like you wouldn't believe. I just didn't say anything. While you guys were talking about storms, I was watching a really violent one come through here. It was lighting up the place. I was surprised people didn't say, hey, a room's lighting up. They look like deer, but something, yeah, that picture, the more I looked at the picture, the more it looked off. There was something not right about it. They look just like deer, but they can stand up and walk on two. Really? I'm going to have to look into this because it's like the last 3 weeks since I saw that one video. All of a sudden, this is all, every so often I'm hearing these things is not deer. So I'm like, this is a new one for me. Is this something that's been around long and I just haven't noticed? Or is this something that people are now noticing? Is my question. It's a Native American tale. Oh, really? Didn't I know that? See, I don't know everything. I don't admit to know everything. I learned just like you guys. God, a couple of people, oh, you think you know? No, I don't. And you'd be surprised what's locked in his head that I can't get out anymore. Someday it's all going to come spilling out. I hope somebody has pencil and paper when it does. But I did not know that. See, that was a new one on me. Now, the big thing about these, now, I know people that would look at that picture that I saw. And I'm telling you, the more I looked at that picture of that deer, I was like, something's not right. Something's just not right. I know other people, oh, that's a skinwalker. Why is everything a skinwalker? Why is everything a wendigo? Do you know? I've asked people, do you know the difference between a skinwalker and a wendigo? Do you honestly know the difference? Most must be through many tribes, like the deer women. Now, you know, Gemma's talked about the creatures that she sees on her property every so often. That's on the other side of the creek, like it won't cross the water or something. I don't know. You would have to ask her about that. They got her car started again, not a bad thing. That's what I was thinking. You must have been on long enough to see what she said about her daughter. Because to me, when she said all that, I didn't think not deer, but the thing came to my mind is her family's pretty bright, like you, Vixen. You're bright. I know when you're close or when you're in the room. I don't know why I was paying attention this time, but they sounded like they were protecting them, but her family's so full of touched people, I should say. I don't want to make it sound bad, but it would surprise me that something like that would happen for her, either Edna or one of her kids. You read my daughter's story, Vixen. She still talks about that. Oh, is there a story? Is it written down somewhere that I can read it? Huh. That's what it sounds like. She said they just stared at her. I backtracked up the chat. Okay. What you guys were talking about. Smart move. I have to do that, and I'm here. It's a little easier when I only have 3 or 4 people in chat, though, which is fine. Actually, I like the small crowds. I can't believe the people that rewatch the show. And for anybody that comes back and rewatches this or watches the replay, thank you so much for watching the replay of a replay. I appreciate it. And Gemma does too, more so. Yeah, I just never heard the not deer thing. Like I said, that's a new one for me. At least I've never heard, unless somebody's calling them something else. That was new to me. But like I said, the more I looked at that picture, the more it was just like, maybe there is something not right about this deer. But I don't know, like we were talking earlier, it could have been a seed planted in my head at the right time. But yeah, the more I looked at the picture, the more it seemed something not right. But then again, I've seen deer come through this neighborhood and looked at a couple of the bucks that come through here, and it's like, you guys don't look healthy. There's something off about you guys. I'm going to have to, and I will, Edna. Believe me, I will. I already wrote it down. So, yeah. And you say it's a Native American tale? That give me something to go on? Because, you know, it's pretty sad. I know a little bit about the Mounds and the Adena and the Hopewell and the older tribes. But, you know, and some of the lore and the nations. But Not like I probably should. But see, I spent a lot of my hard days when I was younger researching biblical and other things together. The animals starving, I don't know if they're starving. Let me say it this way. Yes, there is a problem. And yeah, I do agree with you. I shouldn't say they aren't starving, because there are animals that are suffering right now. But I don't think it's all us, Edna. I don't think we help the situation. But Mother Nature and the earth is ever changing. And there's cycles. And on top of that, I honestly believe that we are living in very prophetic times. Things are going to start happening that people are not going to understand. They're going to freak them out. I don't think it's all us, hon. And yes, I think Mother Nature's pissed, but I think life has a cycle. The earth has a cycle, and the sun has a cycle. And, I'm not saying it's not all us. Because, yes, we definitely don't help the situation. That's for a fact. I agree with you there. But there are just some things that are going to happen with or without us, like the sun changing. Because the sun is changing. And the moon is starting to rust. They are noticing red on the moon now. Well, there's a biblical prophecy about when the moon turns red. But they are noticing that it looks like the moon is getting rusty. So, yeah, I'm babbling and you women are talking. That's good, though. My mom woke up one night. She woke my dad up, swearing that people were outside talking. Dad got up and went out the back door. All he saw were a few deer under the apple tree. And they were having a conversation. Should have gone out there with a cup of coffee and said, well, what you boys talking about? No, just kidding. That wouldn't surprise me. I'm surprised Edna doesn't have stuff like that happen. Interesting thought. And a lot of people don't know this. Or a lot of people don't believe it either. But, in the Bible, Adam and Eve were able to talk to the animals. They conversed. So that meant the animals were able to talk. When what happened, as a punishment, God took that right away from us. We were not allowed to be able to understand the animals anymore. Because of what happened. But there's some videos out there of animals doing some pretty wild stuff now. Maybe not deer, which is possible. But I want to look into this. Do they have another name for it by not deer? Because this not deer thing kind of freaked me out. Like, what is these not deer? I mean, I've seen deer that just don't look right. I had a pregnant coon come up on the back, eating my. I had a pregnant coon come up on the deck, eating my suit. I left a bowl. Oh, soup. I left a bowl of dog food in the yard for her. Actually, if you're gonna do that, don't give them dog food. Give them scrap, like old bread and stuff. I mean, dog food ain't gonna hurt them, but like breads and stuff help beef her up. Now, I've heard of the deer woman. That's who Gemma thinks, pretty sure she saw on her property. But the knot deer is a new thing. I've just never heard them called that. And that, I find that fascinating that I have. Even the crows were eating it. Yeah, the crows were eating anything. I have crows and ravens, both. And they wait for me every morning. They get mad if I don't come out with something. So I go out there with a cup of coffee, throw some old bread out. One day I gave them a box of stale cornflakes that somebody opened and didn't tell me they were open. They got stale. So I gave them that. And it was like they were talking to me the whole time they were eating. Thanks. Like, it was like crazy. It's funny because Dad will go out and sit in the front back porch. And we have these two really big crows. And they're crows. And they're big guys. Or females, probably. And they always come in and sit on a line and watch you. And I don't know. And I know it's the ones that come and eat when I feed them. So I'm wondering if they're watching over him. I don't think he even notices them sometimes. My wild animals will not eat GMO fruit or vegetables. It will sit and rot. Yeah. Most animals won't. I was cracking up one day. I took, what did I take out? I think Dad had some oranges. We bought some oranges, and he didn't eat like 2 of them. So I took them out and gave them to the birds. They wouldn't touch them. Nobody would touch them. So I went out, and one of them still had a sticker on it. Because I just cut them in half and threw them out there for the squirrels and stuff. And then I found a sticker on one of them that said GMO. And I said, "Oh, Dad, I ain't buying that brand anymore." So, yes, I've noticed that, Vixen. We buy what we call a critter mix, and then I add stuff to it for just the critters. It kind of keeps the squirrels and stuff out of the feeders. And I don't know what I had dumped. I had bought a couple bags of mixed fruit and nuts and dumped them in with the critter mix. And this one squirrel looked like he was just as happy as could be. He was just out there going to town, singing and chirping. It cracked me up. They make a thing called critter feed, Edna. It's got peanuts and nuts. It's got all good stuff in it. Comes in a big bag. That's what I get them. And then I add stuff to it. And now I've been like you. I've been a little bit more picky about what I take out to give them. I've had 2 kinds of hummingbirds this year. They are so stinking clean. My problem with the hummingbirds is because my mom loved hummingbirds. Okay. At the beginning of this, I told that after my mom passed and I moved in here with Dad, I have hummingbirds, hummingbird feeders in the back and in the front. And I got one in the front. And when we first moved in, about a year later after Mom passed, this hummingbird would come up to my face. I swear it was Mom checking on me. But anyways, these last summer and this summer, so far I've only seen 1 hummingbird. And last summer, we usually have a good number that comes and hits them. But last year, it was like we were seeing very few. In fact, a lot of times I would have to, summers before, I'd have to, in a couple of days, I would literally have to go out and refill them. Last year, the stuff was actually going, I had to go out and check it after a couple of days to make sure it wasn't going bad because they just weren't coming. And then this year I've seen 2 so far, one in the front and one hit the back. I couldn't tell you if it was the same one because I caught them both of them were leaving and I knew it was fresh because I just put it out there. Yeah, I think it was too. She really loved the hummingbirds. I have one of these, those, oh my gosh. You know, like you get the gargoyles made out of plaster. There's a, my dad had bought my mom this plaster heart that has hummingbirds on it with flowers. And I'm going to paint it and put it out there by her tombstone. She's also got hummingbirds on her tombstone too. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if she came in to check on me. She knew I love the animals too. I'm like you, Edna. The critters are important to me. Sometimes the deer get a little annoying here, but because they need to do something about the population. This suburban area is not meant for as many deer. I mean, the other morning I got up, there must have been 20 deer in our street. And it can't be good. And they've already had 2 good accidents because of people hitting deer up on the main road. And I don't want to see that happen to the people or not. And I had a friend, we had a close family friend hit a deer and it offed him too. I bought a hanging basket of Menville A trumpets. Yes, I know what they are. I can never say the name though. I saw a hummingbird on it once. See, now we do that. We buy those to put by the hummingbird feeders because it helps bring them in. I bought 2 last year and hung the hummingbird feeder in between them. Still didn't get as many as we usually get. I'm a little concerned about that. I had a friend that lives down in Logan. I may go down this week, take a little break. And he knows I like the salamanders and the newts. And he was down working in where they keep he gets water delivered to him. Anyways, he was down there working and on the plumbing and stuff. And he said he didn't see half as many down there as he usually sees. So that bothers me. When you start seeing those and the bees and the butterflies slowly not coming around, then you got to worry. Hummingbirds, they're pollinators. There are a number of type of birds that are pollinators. I grow for the birds and the bees and I buy wildflower. I don't buy flowers. I buy wildflower mixes, and I get all different types. And that's what I do my flower beds in. Easy to take care of. I just go in and weed out the bad stuff every so often. And I noticed last year I had more butterflies than I did hummingbirds, which was kind of unusual. Though the bees have been scarce because usually the bees like to hang around the feeders, the hummingbird feeders. We barely saw any around the hummingbird feeders last year. And I've had the feeders out now for 2 weeks. And I've only seen a couple bees by them. But I walked in the garage the other day and had like 3 or 4 bees. Just, I almost stepped on them. And it's like, what the heck? They were alive. They were just crawling around on the floor, on the concrete. So I scooped them up and took them out and put them in the flower bed, put them out in the sun, and hopefully brought that bag. When I went back, they were gone. So I'm hoping they flew away. Yeah, water's a big, important thing. Dad has a fountain, a bird fountain. And we try to keep that up and running all year round. We try to keep it clean. For the bees too, I would put rocks in a saucer and fill it with water. The well we have, it has like 3 tiers and it's like a fountain. And in the very top one, and then in the middle, it's the middle one. Yeah, the middle one and the bottom one, we put rocks in the back so the water's not splashing on the bees. And they go in there. Sometimes I'll set a stick in there so they can stand on their stick and drink. Once I get out of this trailer park, I will plant another wildlife sanctuary. I've seen bees on the dandelions at work. Yeah, now I have seen the bees on the dandelions here. So I've actually seen quite a bit more bees this year. It's just the ones in the garage kind of freaked me out because they were moving around, but I picked them up. I figured as soon as I picked them up with the paper, I literally scooped them up and tapped them onto the paper, took them out. I figured they'd fly away. They just kind of watched me as I carried them out. I kind of slid them on top of a bunch of flowers and went back a little later and they were gone. I didn't hope a bird or something came along. That would have upset me. My bay leaf and sage dry back. Such a bummer. Oh, bums. This winter, and I have a funny feeling, folks, we're probably going to have a very interesting summer. So be prepared for crazy weather, crazy heat. I have a funny feeling this might be a hot summer. I could be wrong. It's not uncommon, but I have a funny feeling this is going to be a very interesting summer for a lot of reasons. Oh yeah, they need something to stand on. Yeah, they don't swim too good. I have a funny feeling it's going to be a hot summer too. I have a funny feeling it's going to be one with a lot of storms. Usually, like I said, I make jokes about the 270 bubble. We live right in Columbus. I live pretty much right in the middle of the state, almost right in the middle of the state. Actually, Centerburg, north of me, is pretty much what they say is the actual middle of the state. But anyways, and we have an outer belt that goes completely around Columbus. And since that baby's been up and running, it seems like storms hit that outer belt and go around. And but lately, man, some of these storms have gotten across that outer belt. We joke about it because we say it's the constant motion traffic, but I live off 270. The outer belt here is called 270. It's funny. Is that interstate or outer belt? That's pretty wild. You said I live off of 270. You say you don't live in Ohio, do you? You move? No, but that's what it's called here. That's what our outer belt's called. It's 270. That's funny. My lady Charlotte Rose wintered over, getting lots of new growth. That's good. Ticks are, yeah, I heard the ticks are real active. They like the heat. And that's another thing. And I need to warn Gemma too about her son. In this heat, it's like in the winters. But during the heat, she's going to need to watch the kid for fleas, ticks, and the mites. Because they love the heat and it just agitates the crap out of them. So they go nuts. But lice and fleas, man, they were bad last year at the end of the year. Luckily, our dog has only had a flea problem once and hasn't had a problem since. And I don't use the flea and tick stuff. Yeah, you said that the other night, and that the ticks have been really bad there. Now, with all the deer in this neighborhood, I'm surprised I haven't picked one off from me yet. Because I can't believe how bad the deer. And I say that, I make it sound like a bad thing because I love the deer. But when you go out your front door in the middle of a neighborhood in a small town, and there's 20 deer standing, and it's not small here by any means. It's a pretty good sizable place. I mean, we're a suburb of Columbus. To see that many deer standing out in the street is way too many and causes way too many problems. But most of the deer are good with the people here. It doesn't help we have people that go down this. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't help, but it really doesn't. A lot of people come here and walk their dogs from other neighborhoods in the cemetery because it's a beautiful cemetery. But they also feed the deer. So a lot of people now have to put fences around their gardens because if the deer like your flowers, they're going to eat them. I listened to a woman the other day out there yelling and screaming because they came through and ate all of her flowers. All but the ones they don't touch. But they pretty much cleaned out her flower bed. We grow you have to figure the way I say it. Hostages. It's the big leaf flowers, plants. We grow those just for the deer because they love those leaves. Yeah, I know that, Edna, but I'm not saying do harm. There's places they can tag, bag, and move them to that would give them a little more security. And I can tell you at the fall, you can always tell when hunting season starts because this neighborhood fills up with the deer. It's like they know no hunters can come here, which is fine with me too. I stand with the cream. Then humans do suck, but there's some critters out there that ain't the greatest either. They ain't meant to do us the best either. But I love my critters. I'm just like you, Ed, and love them. It's just there's got to be a balance. And the balance has been way off. And unfortunately, it hasn't been in their favor. I agree with you there. Yeah, because unfortunately, they just seem to buy up land. It's getting really bad here now, again, too, Edna. They're buying up land everywhere here. You know, Worthington used to be a pretty small, quaint place. You know, now they have had to build extra schools. They're expanded. Worthington has expanded their boundaries. And there's a lot of. We had a flock of turkeys around the trailer park. They're supposed to eat ticks. Guess they can't get them all. No. Yeah, actually, turkeys love ticks. Yeah, and unfortunately, they probably don't get them all. You may go to Vegas next month. That's cool. Anything interesting, or are you just going to Vegas? Or is I know Spaced Out Radio always has their little functions in Vegas. Is that coming up or something? Or are you just going to Vegas? I've never been to Vegas. I've been to Atlantic City, but never Vegas. And that was Atlantic City in the day. Late 70s and early 80s. That was many moons ago. Well, not that many moons, but it feels like many moons ago. Yeah, that's what happened here, Edna. They're buying up the farmlands and putting homes. What I don't like is they're building these. If I go, I would play in the World Series of Poker event. There you go. I suck at poker. I'm not bad, but I'm not the best poker player. Sorry about that. I was trying to close my mic off so you guys didn't have to hear that. I'm not bad at poker. I'm great at. Not a card guy. I like euchre and I like spades. Some card games. When it comes to gambling, I like roulette. I'm not a slot machine guy. Though I'll play one just for the craps and giggles of it. I do like 21. And I like shoot a little craps. But then again, I always shoot a lot of crap. Bad joke. Yeah, and I hate the berry bushes, and it makes me sick. Now, I never understood. You know, you can move trees. And you can move bushes. Well, why couldn't you pick them up and move them somewhere where they'd be good, you know? I better go. Gonna pick up the grandkids. And yeah, what time is it? We've been gabbing. It's 1:30. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I probably should call it. I was going to call it at 1. But we were just enjoying ourselves. Yep, some people gotten bad at the new development. It's getting bad, and I think they need to start putting some kind of restriction because it's getting nuts here. There was land here that I thought they would never touch. They've already started building on. Yep, I think I'll call it a night. This is a good time. AK, thanks for coming in. I didn't mean for you to come into this book. I hate when that happens. But we're going to go ahead and call it since it's 1:30 and then pick a good time to do it. AK, you have a wonderful day. Edna, have a good Sunday. Vixen, you have a good Sunday. I hope to see you guys Wednesday night. I'll be here at 11 Wednesday night. And don't forget Gemma's upload Monday at 11 a.m. Sorry. Gemma's reincarnation upload at 11 a.m. Monday. I should be there. I usually try to take a break just to catch that. So sometimes I don't get to. I've missed a couple, but I always try to be here for her. But you guys have a wonderful night. All the people who stop by, Rose is cute. Real Truth, Latro, Chris. Who am I missing? I try to say everybody's name anymore. But all you folks have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming in and saying hi and holding a conversation. Much love to you all. Be safe. Have a wonderful Sunday. I get so much jokes about my goodbyes because I hate saying goodbye sometimes. I'm having a good time. And I was having a rough day today. Gemma might even tell you I was having a rough day today. So this was good. At least I'm leaving smiling. You guys have a wonderful one. I hope to see you Monday at 11 a.m. If not, Wednesday at 11 p.m. Folks, take care, and I'll see you on the flip side. Please have a wonderful Sunday.